Hi everyone and welcome this morning. My name is Declan Green. I'm a registered dietitian and today's talk is going to be about healthy eating and healthy food choices. I hope the sound is picked up. I just seen a message on the bottom saying sound isn't great. I hope that picks up along the way. However, I believe Anna is recording it, so it may become available afterwards to stream or to download. So healthy food choices, these are some of the important reasons why we need to eat a healthy, balanced diet. So what and how children eat can affect their mood, behavior, and learning. The best diet for good mood, behavior, and learning is one that includes a regular eating pattern and a variety of food. Nutrition is important for the brain as well as the body. A well-fed brain is more likely to lead to good mood, behavior, and learning. We need nearly 40 different nutrients, and the more varied our diet is, the more likely it is that we get enough of everything we need. The Eat Well Guide is a model that shows us a balanced diet. Most children would benefit from more fruit and vegetables and fewer sugary drinks, high fat and high sugar snacks. The Eat Well Guide applies to most people regardless of weight, dietary restrictions, preferences, or ethnic origins. However, it does not apply to children under the age of 2 years because they have different nutritional needs. Anyone with special dietary requirements or medical needs should check with their GP or a registered dietitian on a one-to-one basis on how to adapt the Eat Well Guide to meet their individual needs. Now, I don't know if you have seen the Eat Well Guide before, but it's a lovely pictorial representation of how much we should eat from which of the different food groups. It has changed over the years, and this is the most recent version of it. And you may notice, if you know the old version, you may notice some things have actually come off the plate and they're sitting to the side. For example, you see water up the top right that never was on the plate before. And in the opposite corner, bottom left, you have foods that are high in sugar and foods that are high in fat that are taken off it as well. But we'll talk about those as we go along. Now, the first main group here is fruit and vegetables. They're a very important food group. They provide our bodies with the vitamins and minerals we need to function properly. If you think of the vitamins and minerals like cement holding the bricks of your house together, if there was no cement, your house wouldn't stand very well. So most of us are still not eating enough fruit and vegetables. They should make up over a third of the food that we eat each day. We should be aiming to eat at least 5 portions of a variety of fruit and vegetables every day. And we can choose from fresh, frozen, tinned, or dried, or juiced. Remember that fruit juice and smoothies should be limited to no more than a combined total of 150 mils a day. So that could be one glass of 150 mils, or it could be smaller glasses, but no more than 150 mils in total. Fruit and vegetables are a good source of vitamins and minerals, but also importantly, fiber. And we can see a beautiful array of fresh fruit and vegetables along the bottom. So what we're really aiming for here is including 5 portions between the two. It doesn't mean 5 fruit and 5 vegetables a day, but it means a combination of the two. So that could be 3 portions of fruit a day and 2 portions of vegetables, a total combination of 5 a day. And the more colors that are in our diet, the healthier our diet becomes, because we know from research and evidence that the colored fruits and vegetables offer us health properties. So the next group is starchy carbohydrates. I wonder, has anyone heard of starchy carbohydrates before? It's such a tongue twister, carbohydrates. It's called starchy carbohydrates, and this food group gives us energy. We should base our meals on foods in this group, meaning we should include some of these foods with each meal we eat in the day. And you can see here that there's a variety of different foods in the carbohydrates. Not all of them are shown in the pictures here. However, we still need to be eating some starchy carbohydrates with each meal for energy. So for example, we could have cereal for breakfast. We could have a sandwich or a wrap as part of our lunch. And with our evening meals, we can include things like potatoes, sweet potatoes, pasta, rice, or couscous. So it makes up just over a third of what we eat, or it should do. Choose higher fiber varieties where possible, such as whole grain pasta, whole wheat breads, brown rice, or simply leave the skins on potatoes, which is plenty of fiber there. The more fiber that's in the starchy carbohydrates, the slower we digest it and the slower it releases energy, and it keeps us sustained over a long period of time. There are also high fiber versions of white bread and pasta for those that don't like trying whole grain or granary breads. And starchy foods are a very good source of energy and the main source of a range of nutrients in our diet. So there's dairy or dairy alternatives. And you can see here, you'll recognize some of the foods instantly. So they are things like milk, cheese, yogurt, fromage frais. They're a very good source of protein and some vitamins, but they're also a very important source of calcium, which helps keeps our bones healthy. Try to go for lower fat and lower sugar products where possible. I'm sure everyone's seen the 1% fat milk, which is the purple top milk, or reduced fat cheese. So things like Cathedral City, 30% lighter, 30% less fat. And there's also other lower fat things like yogurt. There's no added fat and no added sugar yogurts. Unsweetened calcium fortified dairy alternatives like soya milks, soy yogurts, and soya cheese also count as part of this food group. These can make good alternatives to dairy products. Protein foods. So you can see the protein foods are recognizable right away. We can see eggs, fish, chicken, tin tuna, lean mince, lentils, chickpeas. So what is recommended is we eat some of these every day. So eat some beans, pulses, fish, eggs, meat, or other protein sources. These foods are a good source of protein, vitamins, and minerals. Pulses such as beans, peas, and lentils are good alternatives to meat because they're lower in fat, higher in fiber, and protein too. Choose lean cuts of meat and mince and eat less red and processed meat like bacon, ham, and sausages. You can still eat them, but just less of them, not eating them every single day. Fish are also included in this food group as well, and we should be aiming to eat 2 portions of fish every week. 1 portion of fish should be oily, such as salmon or mackerel, but also you can equally eat things like fish fingers and that. They do contribute to this food group as well. But some of the oily fish are very good for our health and very good for our heart. And hummus served with wholemeal pita bread is a good source of protein as well because there's chickpeas in it. Sources of fat. So we got a couple of pictures, well, one picture here with a couple of sources of fat. However, there are many, many more. So fat is an important part of our diet. We do need to include fat. However, evidence shows us that we're all eating too much fat, and a lot of the processed foods that we eat contain much more of the unhealthier types of fats. So we should be choosing unsaturated oils and spreads and eat it in small amounts. Unsaturated fats are healthier fats and include things like vegetable oil, rapeseed oil, olive oil, and sunflower oils. Again, back to the oily fish that we talked about in the previous slide. Oily fish is a good source of a special type of fat called omega-3. And omega-3 is particularly healthy for us. So current dietary advice on fish is to include 2 portions each week and try to include 1 portion of oily fish. Seafood is also rich in other nutrients. For children who do not eat fish, omega-3 can be found in other sources like walnuts, flax seeds, chia seeds, leafy green vegetables, and rapeseed oil. Remember, all types of fat are high in energy and should be eaten sparingly. So that means we shouldn't be eating large amounts of it, and we shouldn't be eating it very frequently either. So if you remember back to the big picture at the start, the foods containing fat and foods containing sugar were one of them. Now, most people can identify with these foods immediately, and the reason being because we eat a lot of them and we eat them very frequently, more than we should be doing. So we should be eating foods high in fat and sugar less often and in smaller amounts. Now, we can make some small changes to our dietary intakes on a regular basis. So in this example, I'm going to show you a couple of examples here. If we swap from a high sugar fruit juice drink to a no added sugar juice drink, this swap will be reducing the sugar in our diet from this particular component by about 50%. So it'll halve the sugar. Another example would be a little cake bar. So if we swapped from the cake bar to a slice of malted loaf, we're reducing the sugar by 50% again. And just to show you some snack ideas, because we all need to know what we can snack on healthily. So a small apple would be a fantastic snack idea. They're easy to carry in your pocket. You can take them to school in your lunchbox or your bag. And at break time, you can have a snack. It doesn't need any preparation at all. The same goes for bananas. So bananas are a good source of energy, but they release their energy very slowly over a longer period of time. So they're fantastic for snacking on. We also have other things that are no added sugar and fat-free yogurts. And again, they're fantastic to snack on. Only problem with these is you need a spoon to eat them, so they're not as versatile as eating a piece of fruit. It doesn't need a spoon. We could equally have a small bunch of grapes. Careful not to choke on the grapes if you're playing around though, but yeah, grapes are fantastic as well. And little satsumas, again, provide us with lots of vitamins that our body needs. And these are particularly high in vitamin C, which is really important. And I know you'll be surprised to see this one, a 2-finger Kit Kat, just to show you that they can be part of a healthy diet. However, we shouldn't be going for the 2-finger Kit Kat every day or every snack that we have, because the calories and the fat content tend to be slightly higher, particularly the type of fats that we don't really want in our diet. So in this case, we could have a 2-finger Kit Kat on occasion, maybe have it as one of our treat snacks. So the fat rule, you may not have heard about this before. So we're going to talk about the word fat here. In this context, F stands for frequency. So how often do you have a particular food? So in the case of the Kit Kat, are you having it every single day? Or are you having it multiple times a day? The amount is A. So how much of this food do you have? Do you have a 2-finger Kit Kat? Do you have a 4-finger Kit Kat? What is the case? And the T stands for type. What type of fats or sugars does it contain? So is it the saturated fat? Is it the unsaturated fat? Remember, the unsaturated fat is healthier for us, and the saturated fat is not so healthy, and we want to limit that. So this example, I'm going to show you a very familiar food here. Anyone guess what that is? I can't hear you, but I can hear your thoughts. Yes, it's a pepperoni pizza. So if we look at the pepperoni pizza and someone was eating a full pepperoni pizza for their dinner 5 days a week. So if we look at the frequency is very high. If we look at the amount, that's a lot of pizza there. And the type, we think about the type of pizza that is. So there's lots of fat because it's a meaty pizza, pepperoni. So we could improve upon that by reducing the amount we take. So we could have 1 or 2 slices instead of the whole pizza. And then we could include some other foods with that, some vegetables and other. Remember, the starchy carbohydrates gives us energy. We could also reduce the frequency, so how often we're now having the pizza. So instead of having it 5 nights a week, we could reduce it to 3 nights a week or 2 nights a week. And the types of fat, think about a different type of pizza. So instead of having a full meat pizza, we could go for something with vegetables on it. There's a small amount of vegetables on this pizza. However, if we reduce our fat intake from the meat and have the vegetables, it's going to make that pizza a bit healthier. You can apply the fat rule in any situation with any food, particularly foods that we feel aren't so healthy for us. So we're really trying to think about improving our diets and think about alternatives that we could bring into our diet. Sometimes we don't like foods, excuse me, and we find it difficult to eat a food we don't like. However, if we keep trying that food on a number of occasions, we will find that eventually we will like the food, and hopefully we will start to incorporate that into our diet on a regular basis. So important things are to get them involved. So get your kids involved in preparing and choosing what goes into their lunch boxes. They're more likely to eat it if they helped make it. So this is really, really important. Let children see what's going into the food, what's going into their lunches, and it will encourage them. Mix your slices. Like I was saying, there's foods that we don't always like. Try making a sandwich from 1 slice of white bread and 1 slice of wholemeal or brown bread. And that way it's less noticeable. It's not a massive change, but it's very healthy change. DIY lunches. So things like wraps and pots of fillings can be more exciting for kids when they put them together. Dipping foods are also a fun way to make a change from a sandwich every day. So it's moving away from always having a sandwich to trying to make lunches a wee bit more fun as well. And cut back on fat. Pick lower fat sandwich fillings such as lean meats, including chicken or turkey, fish such as tuna or salmon, and reduced fat cream cheeses and reduced fat hard cheeses. So these are all positive steps that can be made to improve on your diet. And remember, your health is based on what you eat and also what you drink and your physical activity levels as well. Keep them fuller for longer. So base the lunch boxes on foods like bread, rice, pasta, and potatoes. Choose whole grain where you can. Remember, the more fiber that's in the food, the slower you digest it, and that means it provides you with energy over a longer period of time. Go low fat and low sugar. So things like yogurt or fromage frais, and you can add a bit of fruit as well. So some chopped up fruit can be added to these to improve the taste. Swap the treats. So swap cakes, chocolate, cereal bars, and biscuits for things like malt loaf, fruit tea cakes, or maybe fruit scone, we would say it as, or half a fruit scone with a low-fat spread. Fruit breads or fruit, and the fruit can be fresh, dried, or tinned. Or it can be in juice or mineral water, but just not in syrup, because syrup has a very high sugar content. And watch the teeth as well. So very, very important to watch the teeth. So dried fruit counts as one of your 5 a day, but it can stick to your teeth and should only be eaten at meal times to reduce the risk of tooth decay. So what should we drink? Very, very important to stay hydrated, especially with the weather improving, getting very hot. We lose a lot more fluid from our bodies. So there are some sugary drink swaps. So we can see on the left side of this picture, there's lots of sugary drinks, and we can see what looks like a funny shape beside each of them, and that's the number of cubes of sugar that would be in that drink. So we can see the cola has 9, the energy drink has 14, and the wee juice box has about 2. On the right side, we can see plain water has no sugar. The low-fat milk is very low sugar as well. And also there's no added sugar juice boxes and juice cartons. So they could be good, healthy options that we can improve our diet. On the bottom here, you can see the maximum daily amount of added sugar for certain age ranges. Now, I hope you can see that okay. It is a bit small, but on the left, you see ages 4 to 6 years, and the maximum daily amount of added sugar is 5 cubes per day. 7 to 10 years of age, it's 6 cubes of sugar per day. Now, these are found in the food that you're eating. It doesn't mean you have to eat this amount of sugar. And 11 plus years of age, it's 7. Now, I'm sure you guys have heard of some of the apps that are out there, and you can scan the barcode on your food and you can download this scanner free. And what it does, when you scan the barcode, it will tell you how many cubes of sugar is in that particular food or snack. So you'll be able to decide whether or not this is a healthy food or whether you could apply the fat rule that we talked about. So the frequency, the amount, and the type of it. So how often are you having this drink? What amount of it are you having? And the type, is it a high sugar? Is it a low sugar? Is it a sugar-free? So you can download, obviously with your parents' consent, this app, and you can start to scan foods that you have available at home. But also when you're out in the supermarket, you can scan the foods. If you go shopping with your parents, then you can see if these foods are high in sugar and if there's a lower sugar available somewhere else in the shop. So I'm going to ask you a question here. So fruit juices and smoothies. Fruit juice and smoothies count towards your 5 a day, but they're high in sugar. What's the maximum amount kids should be having a day? Is it A, no more than 150 mils? Is it B, no more than 200 mils? Or is it C, no more than 300 mils a day? So let's just have a think about that for a few seconds. And I won't hear you shout out. So you can shout out to your teacher and maybe they'll just write it on the board or something, and I'll tell you the answer in a second. So is it no more than 150 mils? Is it no more than 200 mils? Or is it no more than 300 mils a day? And if you said A, no more than 150 mils, you were right. And it did feature earlier on in the talk. So I was just testing to see who was listening and if you remembered what was on the slides previous to this one. So that means we can have 50 mils 3 times a day. We can have 100 mils once and 50 mils again. And remember, that's fruit juice and smoothies only. So I touched a little bit there on shopping, and you can scan the barcode when you're shopping or looking at foods at home already. In this one, we're going to very briefly look at food labels. So the traffic light labeling system will tell you whether a food has high, medium, or low amounts of fat, saturated fats, sugars, and salt. It will also tell you the number of calories and kilojoules in that particular product. So red means the product is high in the nutrient, and you should try to cut down or eat it less often or eat smaller amounts of the food. Amber means medium. If a food contains mostly amber, you can eat it most of the time. And green means low. The more green lights a label displays, the healthier the food choice is. And these are on foods in all the supermarkets. So you'll be able to just quickly look at it without fully understanding the numbers and what the numbers mean. You can see the color, and that's what it's for. So in this particular label, we can see that it's green for fat and saturates, which means it's low, that's fine. Sugars are high though, it's red. So we wouldn't be wanting to have this all the time from a sugar point of view. And also salt is amber. So once again, that means it's medium. So you can eat that food okay from the salt, the fat, and the saturates point of view, but from a sugar point of view, it is quite high. So we're going to move on in this section into Lunchbox ideas. Now, the ideas that are here are all available on the Change for Life website. And at the end of this talk, there will be a link to that website. There's tons of ideas to help you get involved with food preparation and making healthy lunchboxes. So we have here cheesy coleslaw with wholemeal pita recipe. So it takes about 10 minutes to prepare this. No cooking skills necessary, and it's a crunchy, cheesy coleslaw and pita bread, and it makes a change from just having a traditional sandwich. And you can have a small dish here of cherry tomatoes on the side and a box of raisins. And that's all part of a meal. So 10 minutes to prepare, super easy. And you can see here over 1,100 kids have made this already and tried it just from the website. The next one would be a tuna and bean salad recipe. Again, it just takes 10 minutes. There's no cooking involved at all. And it's a colorful salad. And remember, the more colorful the food is, the healthier it generally tends to be. And it's a good way to include fish in your lunchbox as well. So this would be fantastic with a slice of malt loaf and a little satsuma as shown in the picture here. And again, over 1,000 kids have made this already just from the website. Tuna mayonnaise and sweet corn sandwich recipe. So again, no cooking skills necessary. It only takes 10 minutes and it's super easy. So the mild flavor of tinned tuna combined with sweet corn, and would work well with sticks of carrots or cucumber and some mixed berries. So that's just some, and the last one here on this slide is soft cheese and salad sandwich recipe. Again, no cooking skills required. You can get involved in the kitchen. It takes about 10 minutes to prepare this, and it is super easy. and it's a quick and easy sandwich to provide some dairy in your lunchbox, and it works well with an apple or fruit tea cake here. So as I say, all these are available and online, and I'm going to provide the link just at the end here. So physical activity is also a very important element of health, and it comes into this really nicely. So there's lots of good reasons to get moving. Physical activity is so important. So it improves behavior, self-confidence, and social skills. It improves attention levels and performance at school. It helps develop coordination, and it strengthens our muscles and our bones, which is so important. It improves health and fitness, maintains a healthy weight, and helps you sleep better at night, and also improves mood and makes you feel a lot better. So these physical activity games I'm going to link to are available on the Change for Life website. Again, I'll include the link at the end. So this is just one example of how to get involved in physical activity in small bursts throughout the day. Arundel's frozen, so you have to keep moving to avoid turning into an ice statue. So it's best played with more than one person. So find something to play music on and choose a DJ. Start dancing and do your best moves. When the DJ stops the music, you all freeze. If you don't stop as soon as the music does, you must do 20 star jumps to warm yourself back up and melt the ice. So that's just takes 10, 15 minutes and you can have lots of fun with that. You may also like some of the other games. As I say, they're all available online on the Change for Life website. And I've included another one here, which is Monsters Inc. So for this game, you'll need at least 2 players, some spare t-shirts, and spread the t-shirts on the floor. This is where you get to shout out a massive roar. Then jump from t-shirt to t-shirt. You have to be careful not to touch the floor. If you do touch the floor, you'll have to do 20 star jumps. And if you don't have spare t-shirts, you can use floor mats or something similar. And once again, there's lots of others that are available on the website. So I'd like to ask you a question. You've sat through a lot of information today with me, and I know you won't remember everything. What would you like to take away from today's talk? And what I would suggest is try to think of 1 or 2 small changes that you could make that would make your diet healthier. It could even be exercise, and you can get involved with your family or pet, and you can just jump around and have a good laugh. But some of the things that I've shown you do help you do it in a more constructive way with your friends or family. So I want you to think of 1 or 2 things that you could take away from today and you could think about doing. So for anyone who's very into their gadgets, you could maybe think about downloading the app, and you could start scanning your foods at home and go shopping and with the parents and maybe start scanning some of the foods and suggest healthier options. Or it could be things like the pizza, not eating pizza for dinner every night. Think about the frequency, the amount, and the type of fats that are in that. Maybe you could switch to a healthier pizza. Maybe you could reduce the amount of it that you're eating as well. And there's some resources here. A lot of the resources I've used are on the Change for Life. So that's where you get the food scanner. MyFitnessPal has lots of different recipes and also indoor activities that I talked about as well. So there's lots of indoor activities on the Change for Life website. And there's some links here. So the links are available on the talk. I'll provide this PowerPoint for anyone, and you can just click on the links and it will bring you directly to the different resources I've used. So that brings us to the end of my talk today. I'll now like to open the floor. If anyone would like to ask any questions, I'd be happy to do my best to answer the questions for you. I hope you've enjoyed the talk today as well. Okay, I'm just going to end this, Anna, just so that I can see if anyone's any questions.
Yeah, sure. If you just stop sharing the screen, that's brilliant. As I say, if any of you have any questions, you can put them into the chat, and I'm just having a wee look here. All good.
Oh dear, it looks like someone lost us and it was frozen. Oh, sorry, I can't actually see the chat when I'm presenting. It says mic is off. Declan's mic is off.
Yeah, there was I think there was been a couple of problems with possibly with
Oh, I just see we had to rejoin and the sound was fine after rejoining. Okay.
As I say, this has all been recorded. Okay, so if you do wish to have a recording of it, that's not a problem. You can contact either myself or Charlene at through our email address. Now we have a question here, and it said, can you feed cats fruit?
Well, I'm a dietitian for humans, not animals. So I wouldn't be the best placed person to answer that. I don't want to cause your cat any harm, but I can't imagine small quantities of anything could be particularly bad for cats.
I know that grapes aren't good for dogs. I know that just we have dogs myself. That grapes are not good, or possibly raisins them. So I would imagine
and chocolate
that
isn't good, and pork isn't good for dogs either.
Yeah, as much as they may like it, it's not the best for them. With another question here, it says, is it just 5 fruit or 5 vegetables?
So it's a combination of fruit and vegetables. So you could break it down into 3 fruit a day and 2 vegetables a day, or you could have 2 portions of fruit a day, 1 glass of fruit juice, and 2 portions of vegetables. The vegetables can be salad vegetables, or they can be tinned veg, or fresh, or frozen. So it's a combination of 5 in total.
So basically, as long as you're getting 5 between the two, that's fine.
Yes, absolutely.
And what about if you were to have maybe 2 portions or 3 portions of the one fruit? Does that still count?
We do recommend a variety of different fruit because they contain different vitamins and minerals. So although you could eat 2 satsumas or 2 small oranges or 2 kiwi, that would still only count as 1 portion. So we do recommend a variety of different fruit and vegetables. But that's an interesting question, Anna.
Yeah. Another question here. Can you ever have too much fruit?
Of course, you can have too much of anything. So too much fruit would be, remember the picture at the very start, the Eat Well guide. So it showed about 1/3 of our dietary intake should come from fruit and vegetables. So if we eat more fruit, then we change the shape of that chart, and that means that we're getting less of the other foods that are important for us as well. So that's why there's a target set on eating 5 a day and not excessive amounts. Fruit does also contain sugar, so it has an accumulative effect of sugar. So in particular, a type of fruit could contain enough sugar not to do us any harm, but if we go eating multiple portions of that, that wouldn't be a good thing, because then the overall sugar intake in our diet becomes very high.
Okay, that's good. There's a lot of questions coming through here. How many snacks should we have a day?
Well, that all really depends on what we're doing. If we're very physically active, we can start to feel a bit tired. So having a snack after that can help the body recover from that physical activity. So you're really talking about a snack mid-morning and possibly a snack mid-afternoon. So 2 snacks a day you're really talking about.
Okay.
For most people.
Yeah, that's good. Another question, and I'm sure we've all heard this, is the saying true that an apple a day keeps the doctor away?
Well, There's some truth in it, I suppose, but it doesn't have medicinal properties. So sometimes we do still need to see a doctor for other things. However, it sounds really good. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. It does sound good and it's quite catchy. But I would say an apple, a banana, and an orange a day keeps the doctor away, and that would be much better.
Another question, what is the healthiest fruit?
Well, it's hard to pick on one particular fruit as being the healthiest fruit. However, citrus fruits are very high in vitamin C, and we know that vitamin C has been linked to our immune system to boost it. So given the climate today with COVID-19, etc., I would probably go down the line of saying the citrus fruits are some of the healthiest ones. So you're talking about oranges, lemons, limes, that type of thing.
Okay. So just again, as long, I suppose, as you say, nothing's healthier than the other. It's just a combination of all of them, really. Is that the way?
Yeah, that's right. That's correct.
Another question here. Oh, I do like that. Well, this is one of my favorites. Soda bread. Is it a whole grain bread?
So soda bread traditionally wouldn't be a whole grain bread. In fact, if you think about the amount of carbohydrate in a soda bread, it would be equivalent to eating 4 slices of regular bread. So again, you can look at, is it just a regular traditional soda bread, or is it made with whole grain flour? If that's the case, then it's going to be higher fiber. However, it still contains about 60 grams of carbohydrate, which is equivalent to 4 slices of regular bread. So sparingly for the soda bread, sorry.
I know it is lovely, but yeah. So, well, as you say, there's also different, you can get whole grain versions as well of it. A lot of still more questions here. Are bruised fruits as healthy as normal fruit or unbruised fruit?
There's nothing really wrong with them, but they're a bit more mature, I would say, and they bruise easily. And as a food mature, well, fruit matures that way, the sugar content tends to increase a bit. So yeah, so it kind of ripens and the fruit content does tend to increase a bit. However, it still contains the exact same amount of carbohydrate as it did previously.
It may not just be as pleasant to eat, possibly. That could be one thing.
Yeah, some people like to eat bananas when they're brown. Some people like to eat them when they're yellow, and some people will eat them when they're green. So it's all really a matter of taste, and personal preference.
Yep. How much water should a child drink a day? I know you discussed about an adult, but how much should a child drink a day?
Yeah. Well, we're encouraging everyone to drink about 8 to 10 glasses a day of water. Or it can be low-fat milks as well. Other things can be included in that, or no added sugar drinks as well. So about 8 to 10 glasses a day. We've got to stay really well hydrated, particularly when the weather is warmer.
So just little and often, really, I suppose, is that the way to do it? Just throughout the day?
Yeah, there are some ways. I use one of these, and you can see on it, I don't know if you can, it's probably back to front, and you can see the times on it. And this is what I should be drinking every day. So it's as you say, it's a little bit often. Don't drink it all in one go, and just sip on it through the day, because we lose fluid through the body. Sweating and other ways through the day.
Is sourdough bread a healthier bread?
It depends on how you look at it and what you put into it. So sourdough bread doesn't have any yeast added to it. So it's made from a starter culture that someone would make up themselves using flour and water, and they would develop that over maybe several years. They could keep the same culture living and use some of that with the bread. The way to make it healthier is to use different flours in it, so whole grain flours and different seeds in it, and that would make it much healthier.
Another one here. Can you eat too much fruit in one day, and how much should you eat?
So remember to the slide of fruit and vegetables. So the recommendations are 5 a day. So if we're eating 5 a day, we're doing really well. We can't eat too much fruit, and that can affect the amount of sugar that's in our diets. So we really want to kind of aim for the 5 a day and stick with that, because too much sugar in the diet can have other adverse effects on our health.
Okay. An interesting question I've never really thought about before. What's the difference between a fruit and a vegetable?
Well, generally speaking, we cook our vegetables before we eat them. We heat them with a warm meal, don't we? With fruit, we can eat raw. We peel them, or we just wash them and eat them. Generally, our fruit will grow in trees, so they'll generally grow above the ground, and a lot of vegetables, not all vegetables, will grow below the ground. So there's some differences that are very obvious, and the bright colors as well with our fruit is a good indicator. But generally, we'll cook vegetables with our meals. However, salads are not going to be the same, but they are classed as vegetables. So some food, like tomatoes, would be a vegetable but eaten as a fruit, or they're a fruit, sorry, but eaten as a vegetable. So things like that. So, some of them are very obvious, but some aren't so obvious. But again, the important thing is that we try to aim for eating 5 a day between the two. That's what's really important here.
And you've mentioned obviously about the different sugar levels in fruit in particular. And there's a
Yeah.
question come in saying, when your sugar levels are low due to diabetes, what is a good snack to eat?
So if someone's sugar levels are low due to diabetes, it's most likely type 1 diabetes they have, and they would be taking injections of insulin, which could have lowered their blood sugar levels more than they really wanted to. But also they could be more active, which can also lower their blood sugars, or on a very hot day, that can also lower their blood sugar levels. If their blood sugar levels go below 4 millimoles per mole, that should be treated as a hypo. It's important that they would consume 15 grams of quick-acting carbohydrate, and that will bring them out of the hypo. The person that is attending that person with the low blood sugar levels should recheck their blood sugar levels in 15 minutes. If their blood sugar levels haven't come back up to a satisfactory level within 15 minutes, they need to give them the 15 grams of quick-acting carbohydrate again. Now, this will cause the blood sugar levels to spike, so it must be then followed through with a slow releasing carbohydrate. So it could be something like a yogurt and a piece of bread or something, or a yogurt and a piece of fruit, and that would maintain their blood sugar levels at a normal range.
That's very, it's something again that's probably very, especially nowadays, diabetes is a big problem with, it's a growing condition that people have.
Absolutely.
So, what about if we don't like fish? What could we eat instead of that?
Well, if you remember one of the other slides that I showed for kids who don't like fish, there's lots of different options that contain omega-3, like green leafy vegetables, different seeds and that. So they're all there in the slide. So absolutely, if you don't like fish, you can certainly include some of those other foods to get the omega-3 into the diet.
Okay. And another question here about tomato. And I think a lot of people quite often think tomato is a vegetable, but is it right that it is actually a fruit? Is that right?
It's botanically a fruit, but it's eaten as a vegetable. Yeah, it doesn't matter whether it's a fruit or veg. If you're eating a tomato anyway, it contributes to one of your 5 a day.
Okay. And a question here, and this is probably quite true for a lot of people. If somebody doesn't like healthy foods, okay, maybe they just don't have the taste for it. What can they do to stay healthy? So apart from food, what's the other options we have?
Well, exercise is really important. Hydration is really important as well. But what I would suggest is just to pick one food and try that food on multiple occasions in different ways over a longer period of time. So don't just try the food once and go, I don't like it. Try it in different ways, in different recipes, in different forms. And hopefully over time, your changes will improve. However, if it gets to a point where it just isn't, there is some evidence to show that a multivitamin and mineral may be of benefit for that particular child or adolescent. I would suggest at that stage to speak with your GP and maybe get referred to see a dietitian on a one-to-one basis, and they will assess your diet and they will come up with lots of different ideas and work with you to try and improve the quality of your diet.
And I suppose, as you said about exercise, is also an extremely important thing. You know, diet is one thing, but exercise being another, that ensuring that we get as much exercise as we can on a daily basis. I suppose that's also going to contribute to the healthy lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Um,
being healthy isn't just about diet, it's about other factors as well. Yeah, but it's a big one.
Yeah, there's something here, and I think this is more so that we see coming up now again and again. Can electronics like iPad, computer have an impact on our diet?
It does have an impact on our diet and lifestyle in general. If you think about it, if we're sitting on an iPad or an electronic device more often than we're moving about, then the balance is wrong there. We really need to use the iPad and electronic device a lot less. And we need to make time for exercise, but we also need to make time for cooking. If we just put everything in the oven at the one temperature, those foods tend to be high fat and not a lot of nutritional composition to them. So we need to take time away and start to get involved in preparation of healthy foods.
Yeah, as you say, it's the balance, really, isn't it? You know, while it's okay to spend a bit of time on the iPad or watching TV.
Absolutely. They can be educational. Electronic devices can be educational. And I did refer to them myself during the talk, that using your phone to scan foods to tell you how much sugar is in them. So they can be useful, but we shouldn't be dedicating all our time to electronic devices. We should be making time for physical activity and keeping healthy with healthy food choices.
Good, brilliant. Now, I'm just noticing here that we've run over time a wee bit, and I know a lot of you you've got break time and that scheduled in. And just if anybody else has any questions they'd like to ask before we any other information.
I'll also, Anna, just to say, I'll make this talk available. So if anybody wishes to avail of some of the resources on it, the links are at the end or the last slide. And it's really the Change for Life website, which is one of the NHS websites, which is full of resources for kids.
Well, that's good, because as you say, it's a lot of information to take in one go. And I suppose having that, having the chance to go through it on your own and have a look and see, and even for parents as well, it's going to be a massive help for them, certainly.
Absolutely. Well, I see everyone is having to go there. I hope everyone has enjoyed the talk today, and I'm very pleased if you have. So thank you very much.
That's brilliant. Okay, listen, everyone, as I say, any problems that you may have had with the audio, you can access. We will be able to, this has been recorded, so you will be able to have access to it. And if you just contact Eco Schools, we'll be able to, we'll be able to get that information, not a problem. So if that's everything, in the meantime, listen, have a lovely rest of your day. Go and enjoy a nice little snack, healthy, of course. And I hope to speak to you all soon. Okay. Bye now.